I hope, and I also hope that you are happy for doing our grade 8 English on sentence creation. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with a username, and then we're going to select arts. We're doing grade, and then we're going to scroll to our chapter of sentence creation. All right. So when it's right? So our chapter is sentence creation. Our subject is English language. We're doing grade 8. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of sentence creation is to create a sentence based on the model. So we're going to create a sentence based on the model. All right. So when it comes to sentence creations, we said in order to make your writing more interesting, right? So in order to make your writing more interesting, we need to try and mix different kinds of sentences in order for us to create a sentence, right? And once we mix the different kinds of sentences in order to create a sentence, then it means that you can get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating sentences that you read, right? So in order to make your writing more interesting, try and use mix of different kind of sentences. That is basically like to build a sentence. And in that way, And in that way, you can get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating the sentences that you need. Or the sentences that you read, right? And in order for us to imitate the model sentence, right? To imitate the model sentence, first look at its form or look at the pattern. You can ask yourself what sort of words or phrases or clauses the sentence uses and what order they are in. And then you create a new sentence that follows the same patterns. So, in order for us to imitate model sentence, remember, imitate is like to do the same thing. Then you first look at the form of the sentence, look at the pattern of the sentence, and then you ask yourself what sort of words, phrases, and clauses the sentence uses and what order they are in. Then you then create sentences or a sentence. And if we look at an example of a model sentence, right, it says, when I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the door of the house, I had only two things on my mind: Paul Newman and a ride home. And if we look at that specific sentence, right, and we create a new sentence, and then we can say, as long, okay, that is a different sentence. Okay, the new sentence is, as long as our secret hideout stayed hidden from other people in the deep, deserted forest, we would have our lifelong dream: no parents and plenty of beef jerky. Those sentences, right? They use a subordinating conjunction. And the subordinating conjunction that they words such as when, and they use as long as. And that is basically to introduce the first clause within the sentence. And both of the sentences they use prepositional phrases. Can say it is into the bright sunlight, and also they use from the darkness of the movie house. And then the second sentence says they use from other people in the deep deserted forest. That is the two sentences where they introduce the first clauses, or they both basically use the prepositional phrases. And that is basically to modify the parts of the. Also, both of the sentences they use a colon. They use a colon, and the colon is there to introduce final noun phrases, which is like, for example, saying Paul Newman and a ride home. And the second sentence, it is to say no parents and plenty of beef jerky. right? So basically, the sentences, right? Both of our sentences, they are kinda like we would say they're imitating it. We would say they are imitating the new sentence is imitating the model sentence by looking at the form or how the sentence, the patterns of the sentence is basically written. All right. Then based on the form, the phrase, and the clauses of the sentence and how it's being used, right? They then created a new sentence that follow the same pattern. So the new sentence follows the model type of sentence, right? And that is basically sentence creations. And once again, we said in order to make your writing more interesting, you need to try and use a mix of different kinds of sentences. And you can get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating sentences that you have read or that basically that you read. Then you imitate that model sentence. Your new sentence, in order to create a new sentence, you imitate the model sentence by looking at the form. You look at the pattern. What sort of words and phrases and clauses the sentence uses and what order they are in. All right, so now let's go to aplusstudents.ca, where we are going to create a sentence based on the model. All right, so now it says we need to read the model sentence, right, from Grace Lynn's Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, right? So we need to read that sentence. Then we're going to use the words and the phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. And it says, Ba seemed to drop his gray and work weariness. His black eyes sparkled like raindrops in the sun when he began a story. So Ba decided to drop his gray and work weariness. His black the raindrops in the sun where he began a story. Period. And that is from 2009, Grace Lynn's Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. Right? And if we look at those words, right, or the model sentence, but now we're going to use the words to create a new sentence. It says Eddie decided to throw fastballs. It says, but not his signature curve, until he could size her up, and he pitched with caution to the new batter. Period. To look at that sentence, right? And if we look at that sentence, we can say, Eddie decided to throw fastballs. The next one says, but his signature curve, right? Then we say, oopsie, he pitched with caution to the new batter until he could size up. So that is basically our sentence. We have Eddie decided to throw fastball, but his signature curve. Then we say he pitched with caution to the new batter until he could size her up. And that is basically how a sentence is. So if we look closely at the parts of the model sentence, if you were to compare the two model sentences, right? Then we can say we start sentence with basic object, right? Which is Eddie decided to throw a fastball as well as Basim to drop his gray. Then we continue with a coordinating conjunction, which is in the model sentences and work weariness. And then in the second new sentence, which is but his signature curve, then we have are it's basically hyphenated. And then we continue with the rest period. So basically what we did was we just followed the pattern of the model sentence and then we basically created our new sentence. All right, if you look at the next one, it says, read the model sentence from Benjamin Ali, son, is it Saints, Aristotle, and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. It says he tried not to laugh, but he wasn't good at controlling all the laughter that lived inside of him. So he tried not to laugh, but he wasn't good at controlling all the laughter that lived inside of him. Right? Now we need to use the words given to us and phrases to create a new sentence that matches that model. We have for eavesdropping on everyone. It says, I quietly pretended to read, and my spot proved every convenient who passed me nearby. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, then I'm going to put it in a number form. Then we say it is option one. Number one, I quietly pretended to read. Number two, very convenient. Number for eavesdropping on everyone who passed near me. So which means that which means that if we look at that specific word, if we look at that model sentence, right? If we look at the model sentence and then it means that We just use the words and the phrases to create the new sentence by basically following. All right. All right. So by us look using the so by looking at the specific word, we then basically created a new word based on the model of the sentence, which is he tried not to laugh. And if we were to match the new word with the model of the word, then we say it is I quietly pretended to read. And then we have basically our commas in both of the sentences, which is the model sentence as well as in the model sentence as well as in the new sentence that was created. Then it is also followed by a coordinating conjunction, which is in the model sentence, it's but. And in the second, the new sentence that was created is and, right? And in the rest of the sentence follows. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next sentence, the model sentence is it's basically from James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And if we look at the model sentence, right? And then the model sentence is McCann went briskly to and fro amongst the students, talking rapidly, answering rebuffs, and leading one after another to the table. So that is the model sentence from James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Remember, we said when it comes to sentence creations, then it's almost like you're imitating the model sentence in order to create a new sentence. We look at either the phrase, we look at the form, we look at how the sentence is basically written, right? And then we create a new sentence. So we're going to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model of the sentence, which is McCann went briskly to and from among the students, talking rapidly, answering rebuffs, and leading one after another to the table. And the words that is being used are words like from room to room in my apartment, I raced, mumbling angrily, packing my things and slamming doors behind me in fury. Right? So we're going to use those phrases to create a new sentence to match the model of that sentence, the model sentence. And I'm just gonna number it instead of rewriting the whole sentence. So we'll then start by saying option one, or the first one would be I raced. So we say I raced from room to room in my apartment, mumbling angrily, packing my things, and lastly it is and slamming doors behind me in fury. So if we were to match the new sentence with the model sentence, then it starts by I raced from up from room to room in my apartment, mumbling angrily, packing things and slamming doors behind me in fury, which means that it is basically like these different commas that suggest different events or different things that is taking place while, like in the new sentence, the person is, for example, showing emotion, right? Showing emotion, um, as well as the comma shows the different forms of emotions that is, as well as activities that is taking place while packing things, while moving around, while slamming doors, while being angry. Right? So if we basically we're following the pattern of the model verb, especially how it's being written, even the wording as well as the commas that is being used, the form that is being used based on the model of the sentence. All right, so now we're going to our test where we are going to create a sentence based on the model. Right, it says it felt comfortable to be in a country where it is so simple to make people happy. So it felt comfortable to be in a country where it is so simple to make people happy. So we need to look, or we need to use the words and phrases below to create a new sentence that matches the model, which is it felt comfortable to be in a country where it is simple to make people happy. So we either need to choose option one or option two, which is option one, which is she was frightened to walk through the forest after it grew too late to consider herself safe. Or the second one says it felt comfortable to be in a country where it is so simple to make people happy. We need to basically create a new new sentence based on the model sentence. And if we were to choose the correct option, then we can say it's option one. She was frightened to walk through the forest after it grew too late to consider herself safe. So option one, yes, it is correct. All right, the next one says we need to read the model sentence, and then use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. It says, I gaze out the window at our family, a little knot on a fringe of tundra waving in the wind. So I gaze out the window at our family, a little knot on a fringe of tundra waving in the wind. We need to use the words and phrases now to create a new sentence that matches the model. All right, it says a single piece of twine at waist height, stretched tightly between twin trees toward the makeshift finish line, and a surge down the dusty path. If we were to choose the correct word, it's either a sentence, basically, that the new sentence that was created based on the model, then it's either the first one that says, and a surge down the the dusty path toward the makeshift finish line, a single piece of twine at waist height, stretched tightly between twin trees, or the second one that says, I gaze out the window at our family, a little knot on a fringe of tundra waving in the wind. We need to choose the correct option to create a new sentence that matches our model sentence. And if we were to choose the correct option, we'll go with the first one that says, and a surge down the dusty path toward the makeshift finish line, a single piece of twine at waist height stretched tightly between twin trees. That basically matches our model sentence, which is, I gaze out the window at our family, a little knot on a fringed tundra waving in the wind. Commas are the um yes. So option one is correct. If we look at the next one, it says read the model sentence from Alex Garland's The Beach. And then we need to use the words to create a new sentence that matches the model. It says rice paddies need acres of flat, irrigated land, which we simply didn't have, so I knew we couldn't be growing it. So rice paddies need acres of flat, irrigated land, which we simply didn't have. So I knew we couldn't be growing it. So we need to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the sentence. Option one or option two, the first one or the second one. And if we were to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model, we'll say a mural needs a team of loyal, reliable workers, right? Which hopefully we can find, or else it seems this project will be taking a long time. If we look at that new sentence that was created, then it matches the flow as well as the structure of the model of the sentence or the model sentence. Oh, so we'll choose option one. The next one says that McCann went briskly to and from among the students, talking rapidly, answering rebuffs, and leading one after another to the table. We now need to look at that model sentence and use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. Keeping in mind that, remember, when it comes to a model sentence, then it's like we are imitating the new sentence to match the model sentence, not directly to match the model sentence, but to match the flow, match the structure, how it is being written, the punctuations that is being used, right? So you're basically imitating the model sentence in order to create a new sentence. And that can make sentencing, or you can make your wording or writing, it can make it more interesting. So if you look at the first one that says the model sentence, it says Mr. McCann or McCann went briskly to and from amongst the students, talking rapidly, answering rebuffs, and leading one after another to the table, right? We need to use the words and phrases to create a new sentence that matches the model. It says, from room to room in my apartment, I raced, mumbling angrily, packing my things and slamming doors behind me in fury. And if we look at those words and we match the words and phrases to the model sentence, right, to create a new sentence, then we can say it's option one. I raced from room to room in my apartment, mumbling angrily, packing my things and slamming doors behind me in fury. So we'll choose the first option, and that matches the model of the sentence. And the next one says that the school was only blocks from our house, and it was here that I first committed the crime of questioning the system. So the school was only blocks from us, from our house, and it was here that I first committed the crime of questioning the system. So we're going to use the words given to us to create a new sentence that matches the model. So if you look at the words given, it's that their team wouldn't win it. It was weeks until the game, without inventing new plays, yet it became clear. And if we were to choose the correct new word, right? If we create a new word that matches the model, we'll say that it was weeks until the game, yet it became clear that the team wouldn't win it without inventing new plays. So the first option is correct. All right. So we said that when it comes to sentence creation and creating sentences based on the model, then we need to keep in mind that in order for us to make writing more interesting, we can mix up our different kinds of sentences, right? So when you mix up your different kinds of sentences, then it means that you get ideas for new kinds of sentences by imitating sentences that you read, right? So by imitating sentences that you read, it's like you're imitating a model sentence, like it's the first sentence given to you. Then you just look at the form of how the sentence is written. You maybe look at the pattern. You maybe look at how the sort of words that is being used, like maybe your conjunctions is being used, your prepositions are being used, right? Phrases and clauses in the sentence used, and then you order them by creating a new sentence, right? Then all you do is you just follow that same pattern of the model sentence to create your new sentence. All right, so this is the end of our lesson on sentence creations. Thank you very much for joining, and I really hope you're going to have a good evening further. There is no class tomorrow as well as on Wednesday, so I'll see you on Thursday. So have a good evening. Goodbye.